All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a hell of a good guest episode. We got a great farm kid that grew up here in Iowa doing some awesome things on their operation. And we're going to get into all the nitty gritty of stuff that's going on his operation and more. But before we get into it, you guys know the drill. If you get any value from the show, all that we ask is that you share it out with the people that you know. The more that you guys do that, the more that this show can grow. It's kind of the ticket to admission to watch or listen to the show. And there's a lot of ways that you can get value. If we made you laugh, if you're related to us on something, if you learned something new, just share it. That's all that we ask. It's the best way we found to grow the podcast. Another thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is leave a review on Spotify or Apple. The more that you guys do that, the more credibility it gives to our show, so we can have more guests like we're having on today come to the barn and have a great conversation with us. Last thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is support our direct-to-consumer meat business, Farmer Grade, farmergrade.com. You can always use code BARNTALK to save 10% off your order. And I just want to say we rolled out a new subscription offer on farmergrade.com for our subscription boxes. It's 50% off the first box, 15% off all future boxes for the life of your subscription, free ground beef for life, and free shipping. So we wanted to make it a really great offer and cost-effective offer for our customers, because we know that everybody, it's tight everywhere. Everyone's pinching pennies, trying to get by. So anything we can do to make things easier for our customer, we're trying to find ways to do it. So just want to let you guys know that. And I'm pumped for today's show. It's going to be a damn good one. This guy is a stand-up dude, so
it is going to be good. And I'll just tell you, in ag, people like to throw around the idea of diversity, and you hear people talk about how so-and-so runs a diversified farm, and the tag with that diversified part is, oh, we grow corn, soybeans, raise some hogs, maybe we do some hay. No. These guys, it's crazy, the level of diversity that they have managed to evolve their farm into. So our guest today, farm kid, grew up not very far from us, played the University of Iowa, lineman in the NFL, came back to the farm, and he and his wife raising a family and transitioning that farm from one generation to another, and they're doing some incredible stuff. Yeah, super excited to get into this. So without any further ado, let's get started.
Well, we're live. So
no, cool. I figured we were.
Matt Kroul, Welcome to Barn Talk. We appreciate you making the trip down. I've heard good things about all that you're doing. I've heard your name a few times of all the awesome stuff you guys are doing on your operation. And then when we were at the Governor Steer Show, that's where we met you. And we were like, well, shit, we got to have you come down and do a pod.
I saw the name and I was like, man, you guys pop up on my Facebook feed. I click on you guys once and now it's, every night.
It's terrible.
I got to see your faces every night. But
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that.
But I saw you on the list for the Governor's charity show. And I just went and said hi. And you've had a couple of my buddies on here. And I feel like you guys do a great job of, just being authentic and being original and just speaking what ag is, and that's part of what we do at our place. We very diversified in what we do. We're about 1,200 acres, but that's half pasture timber and half row crop alfalfa ground, and then all the pumpkins, produce, sweet corn, all the above is kind of the other acres encompasses that. So, I told you guys, anytime I can kind of get in front of a mic or camera and just tell the backstory of ag and be an open book to the general public, we'll do that. So that's kind of our goal.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far into it, how do people find out about your farm and what you're doing? How's the best way
Yeah, we
get
got a
in touch with
website.
you.
My wife does a great job with that. It's kroulfarms.com. So anything's on there, and that'll kind of list our seasonal things that are being offered and hours, and join our newsletter and all the above. And she does a pretty good job. She'll tell you she can do better with Facebook and some of the social media, but you know, and you kind of find us anywhere. It's just Kroul Farms, Kroul.
Yeah, awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
She shouldn't feel bad because it's like a moving target. I mean, we thought we were pretty good at it, and then you run into somebody and you're like, damn,
Yeah,
we should
look
do
at
that.
that.
Social
And then-
media is a never changing. It's just
Yeah.
always evolving. Algorithms change, platforms change. It's
What grabs, you know, what gets attention,
Yep.
what doesn't, and you
it's
know,
a pain in the butt.
you don't want to
sometimes.
be too edgy as far as topics go, because you want to keep it, and you know, I can see
Yeah.
you guys the way you do it. You want to keep it, you know, normal and not try and cause
I like that.
not try and cause controversy, right?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's the media in the day and age that we live in,
Mhm.
and you know, I think podcasting has grew to what it is, and it's because people like the originality of it and just hearing a story,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and you'll get hooked on those. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. So give us a little history. You not only were a farmer, but you were a football player for a long time. So give us the background of growing up as a farm kid, playing football, and then where you're at now.
yeah, many moons ago, I
Yeah,
played football.
yeah.
But, you know, my childhood, right? It wasn't I wouldn't call it typical farm kid. Like I wasn't getting up at 5 a.m. and doing chores. And we have livestock. Running 150 had a beef cow, so like there's always livestock. We raised open farrowed hogs
Yep.
out in the pasture with the 8x8 huts, and I would literally, my job was to go in and get the babies, crawl up on top. Mom would castrate them, teeth them. So I got like a penny a piece or something for that. But looking back, it's like I was literally crawling inside of this 8x8 enclosed thing
Yeah.
with a mad mom sow and grab, you know, so child labor laws back then. But but I digress. You know, my childhood, you know, sports were a big part of my life, you know, even middle school, you know, high school. So my dad and mom, you know, let me put my time and energy into that, you know, school and athletics. So I just get up and work out and do all that, and had some success early on in high school. And University of Iowa offered me after my sophomore year. So I just didn't see a better spot, you know, being 15, 20 minutes away from the University of Iowa, and having a chance for my parents to be that close to watch and get down there for game days. And that was probably 2001, 2002. And coach was just kind of turning that program into what it is, and it has been for 25 years. That was their Orange Bowl year. I think played USC if I remember right. So I verbally committed, never really looked back. Not that I was a huge recruit, but kind of bypassed the whole recruiting process, and Iowa was it. So then you sign and that whole deal, and redshirted, and then started 4 years straight, 50 games straight. You know, very lucky in that regard as far as being able. They had no one else to put in freshman year, so they put in some chunky little guy.
You know, you could tell that story more flattering than what you do.
Dude,
there.
seriously, that D-line before me, and maybe some of your viewers will recognize these names. John Babineau, he probably played 10 years. Tyler Lukey was a West High graduate, just super strong dude, played D-tackle. Derek Robinson just passed a couple weeks ago, unfortunately. He played 4 or 5 years in the league, and then you had Matt Roth.
Yep.
So you all remember that name. So those are my guys I looked after, but they were all seniors.
Yep.
They graduated. I came in a pretty slow linebacker at 235 pounds, and Coach Parker, Norm back then, was like, "Hey, Matt, you ever thought about putting your hand down?" And I'm like, "You just tell me what to do. I'll start eating. I know how to gain weight." And started playing at 260 my first year, and then left there about 285, 290, and then went to the next level. Undrafted to the Jets. We had Hard Knocks back in the day. When Hard Knocks was like super
Loved
popular,
Hard Knocks as a kid.
The Jets. We had that my rookie year, I think.
'Cause that was
2000.
Rex Ryan, right?
Yeah. So
Yep.
Coach Rex. So as a free agent, obviously you want to be drafted, but a free agent kind of gives you a little mobility if teams call you to kind of evaluate the situation, right? And that situation was Coach Ryan, Rex, his first year, and then they had a new general manager coming in the same year. So everyone has an agent. His advice was go somewhere where it's fresh, where they don't have their guys lined up, and that gives you the best opportunity. So went there, played 3 years, 4 camps. I went to 4 camps with them, and then I was cut about 12 times with the same team. So I was up. So basically, I'm up between the practice squad or active, and that's weekly. So it was an interesting life. One, being in New Jersey, New York area, growing up here, Eastern Iowa. It's just a different kind of speed of life. And people are fine, but I tell people all the time, they just don't understand please and thank you and like normal cordial activity, like opening a door. I remember the first time I was there, I don't know, shopping for groceries or something, and I opened a door for an old lady, and she kind of like looked at me like I was gonna like grab something at her. I'm like, and she literally goes, "You're not from around here, are you?" I said, "No, I'm from Iowa, blah, blah," and shot the crap for her for a little bit. But yeah, I had the great opportunity and no regrets there. 4 camps, and it was a good experience being out there. So that's my story. That was 2012 was last time playing, and then had some opportunities to go play in Canada, and I was just like, and my wife wanted to start a career, we wanted to start a family, and just kind of made the decision of jumping full tilt back home for me farming. And then she's got a communications background, worked at some corporate jobs, and then 2 years ago she stepped away from that. Her dad passed 3 years ago now. I guess it's been 3. So 3 years ago, when her dad passed, she put in her 2 weeks, and because we were in that time of, we had 2 or 3 kids, we had all 4 kids then, both working full time. Both of us get home at 5:15. We're out the door to go to T-ball. And we look at each other and spending 20, 25 grand on childcare. And we're looking at each other like, man, he passed too early, 64, about 3 months away from his retirement. And, what are we doing? We're running so hard, so fast, let's enjoy this young time period. If we can do it financially, let's enjoy this time with them. So 3 years ago, actually yesterday, the 26th was the 3-year anniversary of his passing, Neil. So, that's kind of our story. So, she did the corporate thing for a long time and kind of jumped full tilt now to help me with a lot of the customer relation and social media and emails and website and everything like that. So that's our story.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That's good. Well, go back a little bit. So like when you were playing in high school,
Sure.
you committed to Iowa, you said when you were like a sophomore? Or?
After my sophomore year, yeah. So that winter.
So at what point were you playing as a high school kid and you had the thought, I'm pretty good at this?
I was, and I think everyone has their like way of motivating themselves, right, Tork? Like I always thought someone was better than me. Like someone was working harder, someone was better. I tried to never have that mentality like, oh, I'm pretty good, But Coach Morgan was the recruiter for Iowa back then, Reese Morgan. I think his story he tells, I went to a camp and they had some big time guys in there, and this kid that was 20 minutes away that played in Mount Vernon, Iowa, was beating him supposedly. So I don't remember that story, but I never, I guess to answer your question, never really had that feeling of like, but then you got a target on your back when you're committed to Iowa when you're 15 or whatever. But so you just got to uphold that standard. And that's kind of how I motivated myself, was always someone's working harder than me, someone's doing something better and everything like that. So
training camp, what about, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to ask, like, Iowa is notoriously good at preparing people that go to the NFL.
Sure.
Was that your experience when you went? Did you feel like you were well prepared for what you got into?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that standard set by even the previous years, even Coach got there in 99, but those 5 years that he was sending guys to the NFL prior to me, 8 years prior to me, there was a certain standard, right? And I remember vividly a first training camp with the Jets in a meeting room, full team room, and he kind of put me on the spot. Coach Pettin was our D coordinator. Hey, Kroul, blah, blah, blah. I answered this question and answered it. He goes, Iowa guy, So right there, it's like kind of clicks like, Iowa's known for something. They're prepared. They study. They've got the crap together. They can examine the situation, fair to say. So, Coach and his staff did a great job of just running that sort of ship too, that 5 years you're there.
Yeah.
That was kind of the standard set
Were you there? Was Doyle there when you were there?
Yeah, Doyle's a huge part.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Marshall Yonda said the same thing. Like, Doyle was, I was kind of grabbing for his attention even at junior, senior in high school, trying to get it. So, he does a great job. Just this whole mindset, right, of preparing people and developing players. I came in there at, 6'1", 225, 230 and left at 285 and didn't get any slower, and, OG, everyone that went through there will tell you it was a huge part of their success to Coach Doyle too. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So training camp, you went through 4 of them, right? What is the word? Everybody says training camp's a pain in the ass. It's hard. What makes it so hard? What's the grind, the grit of it?
Obviously the game's changed, and this, I've been out 15 years. But it's just a 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. That 3-4 week period. And when you're a lower 10% or lower half of the team, like you get cut any hour, any second, so it's just more mental. Like, yeah, physicality is different because all these guys are huge humans that are put on the planet to do one thing, play football. So one, the physicality of it, the speed of it changes each level they go up, high school, college, pro. But I think it's more anything, it's just a mental grind of if you're learning a new playbook or you got a new coaching staff or, am I going to get sent home tomorrow? Yeah. Then what the heck am I going to do? I'm 23 years old, like, that whole thing in the back of your head. So I think it's just more a mental grind of make sure you're on every hour of the day, physically and mentally, for that time period is kind of a long thing. Yeah. I think the stat is if you play for like 7 years, you spent like a full year in training camp, which is crazy to think about. Like, you put your life in this timeline. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to, be a farmer when you got done with your football career? Was that always just like, this is what I'm going to do?
I think yes. When you grow up around it and you see what your parents had developed then, because we started to diversify early 90s, right after we started growing some sweet corn, tomatoes, and a few pumpkins. So by the time I came back in 2013, like we had, grown some different businesses within that too. So yes and no is, I guess, my answer. Like, yeah, there's always opportunities. The network you build at the University of Iowa and the network you build at New York and things like that, there were definitely opportunities that sometimes were financially better than the farming world. Yeah. But when it's in your blood, it's in your blood. And my wife grew up on a row crop farm too in Calamus, Iowa. So she came from a farming small community. And, we both wanted to raise our kids that way too, in that mindset of ag as well. So
did you meet your wife at Iowa?
Yeah, second year at Iowa.
Nice.
Yeah. Her first year, my second year. Somehow, I don't know how this works. We had the closest. My roommate and I had the closest room to the girls' hallway.
There you go.
As athletes, we get to choose our room. So, lo and behold, my wife was a few doors down the hallway. So,
yep,
life and timing, like we're talking about. Just so met there, and rest is history. Yeah, 4 kids later.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
When you left the NFL and you came back, like, is that a culture shock coming from the East Coast? Or did you come back quite a bit? Was it a big change to move back home?
So you had every offseason, I'd still train at Iowa. Like Doyle was there, so most NFL guys would come back and train. So you had your 2 or 3 months in the summer. So I was back and forth quite a bit. Yeah. I don't know how many times I made that 13.5-hour drive from Jersey to Eastern Iowa, but yeah. So it wasn't a huge deal, and it's not like I was gone.
Yeah,
5-10 years. It was 3 years with a couple times a year back between OTAs and training camp. So not a huge culture shock, but
yeah.
We need to get the kids back out there. I haven't been back since 2012, and I'm sure that place has changed as well. But I think it'd be fun to see what old dad worked at for a few years in his life. But we'll see if that trip happens. But no, I don't think it was a huge culture shock just because I got back, and I always made myself bale straw or bale hay, square bale straw or hay prior to training camp. Just so in my head, once again, like a mental thing, like, hey, if it's 95 degrees, 100% humidity. Yeah, a helmet and full pads, I would rather be a helmet and full pads than choking on dust in 95-degree weather.
Yep.
So make sure I still got some farm work in as well.
Yep,
Nice.
absolutely.
Yep.
Did you have any rookie hazing?
Me,
Back in the
that
day?
was right where they're cracking down on it. Like
Oh.
we had something. We just did a skit, like made fun of some of the players and coaches. So it was pretty lax and pretty simple. Yeah, there wasn't any major, unless you got on the vet's bad side, which I made sure I did not do. There wasn't much hazing, and for me anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. It softened up a little bit there. That's
Yeah.
good because I don't remember what Yonda said, but there was some.
Well, he got stuck with one hell of a bill.
Oh yeah.
He was a
line
draft pick.
restaurant.
So everyone knew I was just some poor kid that was a free agent. So like, Yonda was third round, so he had a little backing.
Yeah.
But you hear that a lot, right? Going out to eat with the group, and all of a sudden it's whatever it is. Depends what they're doing.
It's a
But,
doozy.
yeah, especially in New York, it's a different world.
Yeah.
So you're full-fledged farming now. So you talked about it briefly, but what are all the stuff that you guys are doing, and how do you make it all go? I mean, you got 4 kids, you got all this stuff going on the farm.
Yeah,
Break it down.
Yeah, break
that's
that
a very
down.
loaded question. Yeah,
I know it is.
I'm gonna go get a pad of paper.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
crap. Organized chaos. That's what I call it every day.
Yep.
Seems like no. It's kind of run through our life cycle. We fire up our greenhouses late February, early March. We got 5 grower units that we start our vegetable starts, flowers. So we get them fired up. I start calving March 15th. I've got like a 90-day calving window in there that I pretty much manage all the calving. My mom is still full-fledged. That's kind of her baby, is the greenhouse yet, even at 65. But we'll get in that topic, I'm sure, of transitioning life and farm and things like that. But then we always open up the retail space a couple weeks before Mother's Day, and then we're open usually to about mid-December. We start doing some Christmas trees, but filled in there is everything farming. I just have about 550 acres of row crop, so I do all the planting. My brother does tillage and spraying. And then that kind of gets us into our CSA season. It starts in June, so CSA, our community support agriculture. This year, I think they're supporting us, I should say, 214 families that we deliver a box of vegetables to their doorstep every week, or they pick it up on farm. So that's June through September. We got a couple weeks left of that. And then sweet corn season usually is right around 4th of July. It's kind of, I tell my dad and mom that it's all like in their head, right? And how do we grow, or how do we expand delegation, or like writing this stuff down, or implementing software and other things, apps, whatever we can do to make this stuff from their crazy brains, get it onto digital or something that we can delegate and pass through to people. So that's kind of what my wife and I have tried to implement. As much as the older generation fights you on it, they've been great at being understandable what we're trying to do, and knowing that. And he alluded to it on the Farms of America show. It's hard to kind of step away, and he said, I think his line was, after 40 years, it's hard just to give it away, and that's not what he's doing, but give away responsibility, disconnect. How do you step away, or how do you slowly start to disconnect a little bit? Farmers never totally disconnect, but and then we just started picking pumpkins yesterday. So luckily it's 75 degrees, not 95 like it normally is end of August. So I didn't mind picking a few yesterday. So Hy-Vees, we do a lot of business with Hy-Vees in the fairways in the area. We get some down to Washington Hy-Vee here in your area. They want them Labor Day weekend, so we'll start delivering tomorrow through Halloween. We officially open up for the fall season September 14th or 15th or 13th, whenever that Saturday is. And that's kind of our biggest attraction as far as people coming to the farm. So we try to ride the fine line between a mini amusement park and a farm. We leave it kind of like a farm. Like, we'll have our 95 head of feeders that we'll wean here next week right there for people to look at. And by October 31st, you can literally touch them or feed them. By the end of that, having a few thousand people walk by them. Chickens, we have some egg layers for chickens, so they get to see that. We just got a little miniature pony that people like to look at. I think we had a couple potbelly pigs, down there. So, farm cats are running around. So we just try and keep it as close to the farm as we can. And they'll see during harvest, there's tractors rolling in, it could be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and there's 500 people there already, but you can harvest. So we're harvesting, and we have a little corn maze, a little hay bale maze. So there's stuff for the kids to do, but we try not to jump into that.
No bouncy houses.
Yeah, the bounce house. And I like the business model. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we don't charge admission. We just want families to come and enjoy the farm and see it and see what a diversified Iowa farm is. And then, buy a few pumpkins while you're there. But yeah, that's kind of our story. And
firewood.
Sorry. That's one thing I was just about to get to. We've sold firewood for 40, 50 years. Just kind of the nature of the beast of where our farm sits, right next to Cedar River. And like I mentioned, half of that's timber pasture. So a lot of trees and a lot of managing timber. The falling trees are, things like oak wilt, ash borer, and everything that comes through naturally that wipes some of these species out. But so we've been doing that forever. Just kind of upped it recently. We do a lot of the shrink wrap bundles, and then we'll deliver to restaurants, barbecue spots that need hickory or oak or cherry. We'll do that, and the wood fire pizza craze, which is still kind of going.
Yep.
We do a few of those in the area. So yeah, I don't know. It's just
damn.
That's our life. That's easy, right? There's nothing to it.
Holy shit. Well, that's the thing. We always have the conversation on here that, the reality of ag today is it's like get big or die.
Or off-farm job and
off a farm
yourself.
job and make that happen, or create your own market. And I mean, big kudos to you guys and your parents for being
I give them the props to be
forward thinking,
entrepreneurial spirit, and to take a risk and put up a random greenhouse over an old hog, drainage shed that we used to use, and that was our first greenhouse. And now there's 6 on the property. But I don't know. It's evolved into what it is, and we just try and maximize every acre that we can. If that's with more cows and managing our pasture better, or putting up a new facility to try and feed better. We're starting to finish up. We just started selling our own beef this last 6 months. So just always trying to direct whatever we can direct to the consumer. Try and do it. We still got corn and beans, which you ride that market and what it is. But if I have more cows and I can feed more of it, like in the hog world, like you guys do, we'll do it. So, and I always tell people I grow the best corn after pumpkins, which I've stumped a lot of agronomists, but my main agronomist said they're a legume, so they must be fixating some nitrogen or something.
They must be.
Because literally, we have 45 acres of pumpkins this year, and corn will be on that 45, and you can see to the line, and we're not huge corn, bushels per se where I'm at, but it'll go 280, 300 on a good year on that pumpkin ground, and it'll be 210, in that same field where pumpkins weren't. So it's kind of crazy because you take so many tons of product off that, you would think you wouldn't have much left, but I need to grow more pumpkins.
It's something different.
I need 300 acres of pumpkins.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That'd be a lot of picking.
Well, there's no, that's my next comment. There's no machine that can
go get it,
keep a stem on the pumpkin and make it look beautiful and for people to have on their front steps. So unless robots come around that I can pick pumpkins.
Well, I don't know. I've been, I talk to Elon a lot one way. I talk and he doesn't reply.
You got a lot of Twitter DMs.
You tweet him on X.
Absolutely. But, I'm like, Sawyer is of no help. My master plan was that I was going to hand off all the pig choring to Sawyer.
Yeah.
And then
he was your robot.
Right, exactly right. And then he just trumped me and started all this other stuff. So I'm still choring, and I'm like, I want to try out that Tesla bot and see whether he can drag out a 280-pound.
Yeah, you got to have your
pig.
routine. Yeah, or pick 6 pumpkins at a time. I need 6 arms during October and September, but I don't have them.
I've got no reply on that.
Yeah,
but
it's coming. It's coming.
I loved your dad's his understatement of things.
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those in that.
I love the firewood deal. When they asked him how he got the firewood deal started, and he's like, "Well, I didn't have any money, and I needed beer money, so I figured it was a good way we could get $50 a week
because that was
able to go drink."
Because what year was? I mean, he graduated in '77, so it was 18 drinking age.
Yeah,
right around there or something. So he always tells that story, but nickel draws or whatever.
Yeah.
And now you go to New York, you're paying $14 for a bush light.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how times have changed. But
Tell them what video we're talking about. So Matt sent us a video about their farm, and so if you guys want to check it out, it's a pretty
It's very well done.
It's a really well
They
done
did a great
video
job.
about all the shit you guys got going on. So
yeah, so tell that story. Approached probably 3 years ago now. That episode was just aired on RFD TV a couple months ago on Cowboy TV, Cowboy Channel. It's called Farms of America. And so we were approached, just they found us on Facebook or word of mouth, a production company from New York, had 2 or 3 interviews and, kind of just had that vetting process, and they ended up liking us and liking the family and what we did. And I think the diversification was one thing that they wanted to show in ag. So they came to our place. This is 2 years ago in the fall, and literally a camera crew and people followed you around for 12 hours a day and 5 days straight, and shot that, and they put together an episode. We were eventually the pilot episode, and then they went and took it to a couple people, however that works in that world, and they liked it. And so they shot 11 more farms all across America. So it's called Farms of America. And I think there's 12 episodes, which just wrapped up last week. But like you said, all beautifully done. Like, I'll tell a story of either what the family's doing. They've covered crawfish farm to cranberry farm to a big rancher down in New Mexico, 37,000 acres, to us, which you've heard everything we do. So yeah, I would urge people to just check it out, because it kind of gives you and they try and educate, right? I mean, even our episode, our percent income of beef is 10, and our row crop, is smaller in this world of 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 acre guys, but still it makes up 38% of what we do of gross income, because it's high risk, low reward right now. But high risk, but it costs some money to put a crop in the ground. So
circulating the money supply.
Yes, it just recycles itself. But yeah, no, I would urge people, Farms of America. It's still on Cowboy Channel. It's a free show to watch. And I think the word is they want to do a season 2. I don't know if it'll be us, but there'll be more farms. And it just gives the people a glimpse into all different sorts of ag and all different sorts of sectors and things they go through with Mother Nature and risk that they do. And a lot of it hits on transition. How do we transition this next generation to grow all this food? If it's crawfish or cranberries or vegetables, who's going to take it over and who's going to do it? And that's kind of a main theme of each episode is, how's this going to transition or what's going to happen? So it's interesting.
We'll
something to think about.
We'll link it in the description.
Absolutely,
if you're watching on Spotify or listening or you're on YouTube, we'll just link it in the description. Because it was an awesome. Usually when we do research, we research you, but
I thought that would help. That kind of gave
that was
it,
oh, this is great.
Because they did a good job kind of going through that full life cycle of what we do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the percentage, the way they played that out with those percentages, I bet you people found that really interesting.
So-
They did a good job with that.
Let me ask you this: if you were to do, and you feel however you want to answer this, but if you were to row crop, like what we hear a lot from people, and what we see is, like, for us anyways, if all we did was row crop, there is no way in hell we'd make any of this to work.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to ask you, if all you guys did was row crop and you didn't have all that other stuff going on, and let's say you took some of the ground that you're using for this or that, you used it did row crop, do you think you'd be able to sustain 2 generations?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I mean, my brother's full time on there. Mom and dad are still pseudo full time. And then like I mentioned, my wife stepped away from the corporate world. So there's 3 families on that. And if you're going to do 550 acres of row crop, like, that's just not there,
And I just think it's important for people to hear what you guys are doing, because it's like, I feel like a lot of people think that's impossible. Like, oh, we're stuck. We're only going to do row crop. But it's like, you can make it work.
Yeah.
You just got to think outside the box.
Think outside the box, and then show up with a good product and compete with price, and hopefully it works. So I mean, that's how a lot of people click the easy button, right? Any restaurant back end can just click the button on Cisco food service or whoever they're using for their food service. But it's just, you try and have an engaging conversation with the lead chef in the back, and hey, let's do a special on Friday night for sweet corn or something like that, or winter squash or something. So, and it might just be 5% of what they do, but it's still 5%, and still getting a local product that's grown 5 miles away into their restaurant. That's just one example. And then the produce managers of every Hy-Vee can just click a button from the warehouse. But hey, let me tell you, like, I can give you 4 bins of pumpkins bi-weekly, so you're not getting a whole semi-load. You don't have waste.
Yeah.
I compete with price. Would you be open to trying it or doing it? So it's just direct. That's B2B, but it's still
to the consumer.
Yeah, our margin eventually to the consumer, but our margin's just better. Our what we can grow, what's our gross income per acre is just so much more on pumpkins, produce, sweet corn, as opposed to $50 or $100 an acre you're trying to make or whatever this year in corn and beans, depending on your yield, or how you market it. That whole game. But there's no way. It's horrible to say, and you guys have on the show a lot have gone down the line of equipment too. Like, we've got 3 4430s running around that place doing chores or haying or round baling. And a lot of those are becoming antiques. A lot of them are getting restored, from the late 70s. So my wife gives me crap all the time, but I'm like, hey, they run, they do their job, they pull what they need to pull. Like, a lot of our businesses runs through hay racks. Like, 5 hay racks by me, our most used implement on the farm, just with pumpkins, small squares and things like that. So I don't know. It's
you can't spell margin with sexy. That's the thing. It's like,
I'm gonna write that one down. I'll make a T-shirt.
Well, it just is. It's like, I love new equipment. I think it's great. Yeah. But it's just like that. It's like, does it make you money to have that?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't care. And you can do the math. There's some situations people can do the math and make it work. If you're running big acres, or if you've got a piece of equipment, you're using it every single day, and that's an income generator.
You're putting your 1,000 or 1,200 hours, and you've got your books in order that know this tractor's costing me $100 an hour to run, and you factor that into your budget, and you can do it. Yeah, completely. I understand that, but
and let's face it. Every farmer can do fuzzy math well enough to justify the purchase of a new piece of equipment.
I was going to use that same word. We can as farmers, and my dad and I are notorious. We can justify anything in our heads.
Yeah, that's right. When you run into your bookkeeper
or your banker or whatever, you start writing it down. But it's interesting you guys say that. And we literally just got our first front wheel assist probably 6 years ago, because I was sick of the middle of the night trying to see my line on my planner with my little 6-row and my 4430, looking at my blinking lights with my Dickie John.
Yep.
And I'm like trying to ride the contour of some of these hills I'm farming, and I'm like, man, we got to do something. Like, I'm gonna go crazy with these lights blinking in front of me. So, implemented some technology and found maybe 120 more acres of row crop ground that I could justify 150 horse front wheel assist that we can actually somewhat stick to these hills and make work. But it's just a slow build, I guess, is what we've tried to do. And if it's a few more row crop acres that I can justify some larger, nicer equipment, we do it. But it's still small in our equipment in the grand scheme of things. But yeah.
Okay, I got a question. The newly fiscally conservative me, because I'm trying really hard to get my financial house in order, and anybody that's a listener of the show has heard me talk about all the stuff that we're trying to do in our operation. When I saw, it's so interesting because I've driven by your place so many times, never knew who it was back in my hog building days, but I always like, damn, they got a lot. I drive by there, I feel like they got a lot of shit going on there.
Yeah, but it's tough to see coming down the hill going 60 mile an hour to kind of see everything that's going on.
But from a farm accounting viewpoint, like, how do you have every enterprise broke out to where what the profitability of one versus the other?
That is something that I'm trying to nail down more, because we're getting to the point, you've heard our life cycle, like, there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
Got 4 kids. Parents are transitioning out. Unfortunately, my brother's had some health issues as of late. So, like, you got all those factors come into play, and we're to the point now where, yes, we like the cash flow of every season that kind of just continuously goes through the 12 months. But at the same time, we need to evaluate those businesses harder and be like, hey, this just isn't it's not making enough money to justify how many hours we're putting into it. So that is, I don't have it all broken down. I have like my crop input for a produce, for a pumpkin, for my row crop operation. But we're at the point now where I need to start developing those LLCs and kind of splitting off for a couple reasons. One, tracking your books better. And two, we miss out on a lot of like grant opportunities. Like we're a small farm.
Yep.
But when it comes to gross income, sometimes we don't qualify because it factors corn and soybeans, it factors the cattle, factors everything into that. So it's kind of not trying to play the system, but like we're still small in the produce world. Like we have 3 acres of a garden and 15 acres of sweet corn.
Yep.
So we don't qualify for a lot of the funding or grants that are out there. So it's one reason why we're kind of looking into fine tuning that whole thing. But it's an animal to try and get your hands on.
You see, I this is my new thing. I ask everybody this, not to try to guilt you. I'm just hoping that I find somebody that when I ask that question, they go, "Yep, absolutely," and this is what we use, and this is how we do it. Because at that point, I'm like, okay, because like
I wish I had an answer for that. I'm sorry, but it's
because I feel like so my hog operation. The social media that's totally separate, broke out, and that's easy to track because there's very little commingling other than a few utilities that you have to say, okay, well, this percentage goes to that or whatever. But like the hog operation to the row crop, I don't even have that split out. And part of the reason that I don't, I think, is because I just know that it'll just show that much more that the only thing that makes money is the hog operation, and
I know, it's scary.
And the crops are just that much more of a drag. But it needs to be broke out. And your operation, it was funny to me because the beginning of that clip that you sent us, they said that you run a diversified farming operation. And I just thought that was so funny because typically in Iowa, on WHO or Farm Journal, they talk about somebody and they're like, yeah, they have a diversified farming operation. Corn, soybeans, and hogs.
Some sort of animal.
And they got 3.5 acres of aronia berries or something like that. No, yours, that's like such an understatement of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's
No, it's awesome. I think it's freaking awesome. And I think you guys are positioned really well for the future of ag because you've taken back your own destiny a little bit. That's what it's about, is not being a price taker.
Yeah, trying to control it.
And controlling your own market.
And it's still hard to have those conversations. We talk about inflation, we talk about pricing our product, and even the flowers, for example, like we're still on the low end. I like to think we have a really good product because we have people to hand water and nothing against high school kids, but it's not some high school kid at Culver's or Walmart watering the back 100 plants and missing 10 of them. We try and do a pretty good job there, but it's a tough thing for my parents' generation to swallow too. Like, no, we can't go up $1 on our $4 per pot things. And I'm like, well, Culver's and Hy-Vee's, they're at $8. And we're only at $6.50. So I don't think we ever need to be above that, but it's trying to progress and take the right steps to make sure our margin is there and to make sure, we're not running a greenhouse for 3 months out of the year and
for
not making the money that needs to
for the
be
experience.
Made. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a interesting topic. I'm glad you brought it up, but I appreciate you, Sawyer, saying that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're setting ourselves up. Some days I wonder when I'm penciling stuff out or I look at some of my inputs or operating lines.
I think row crop guys are looking around. Like we said, if we didn't have the hogs and we weren't doing all this, there's no freaking way we'd be able to keep farming. The inputs of row crop and the equipment costs, you just get and squeeze more and more. I wanted to ask you this really quick. Hold your thought. But Dad, mentioned the hogs are like our bread and butter, right? Sure. If we didn't have the hogs, we'd be screwed. What is it? I'd be curious to know on your operation, what is the thing that you're like, this is kind of our rock? Is it row crop or is it like a different one of these entities? And
I wouldn't say it's row crop. I would say pumpkins and the cattle. Yeah. Like I've got about 3 paddocks of pasture. They range from like 80 to 160 acres. So we rotational graze pretty heavy with that herd. But that's the base, I think. We've got that. I usually sell our feeders January, February, just down at Oxford. We sell our coal clouds at coal bowls at Kelowna. So that's kind of our foundation. Obviously the beef market riding high right now. So you kind of ride that wave a little bit. But that's just, that's a tough question, but it's pumpkins just from a gross income standpoint. And then, just having that agritourism aspect, I think is the pumpkins. And then everything else kind of feeds off it, with the CSA program. We've been doing that, I think 12 years. So that's something that I kind of babied, when I first came back. It was just another way to expand on that produce market. But cattle and pumpkins, I would say, the row crop's a necessary thing. One, to justify some larger equipment to feed on the pumpkins and the produce. And then, we chop about 20 acres of corn silage a year, which is minimal, but, and I feed our own corn or top dress our corn. But I would say, no, row crop, unfortunately, is not, and that's what you think of as an Iowa farmer. It's, I sell for Beck's hybrid, so a lot of my customers and friends, that's their deal, and when I come to the farm gate and the retail price on some of these corn hybrids is what it is, I'm like, hey, I get it. I'm in your same, I'm a farmer, and I feel the same tension and things like that when it comes trying to pencil that stuff out. So anyway.
Yeah.
Are the unruly cows nervous because they know how high the cattle market is? You got that one cow that's just near irritation.
So here's my story, right? I got our replacement heifers. We usually keep about 20 replacement heifers. I just pulled the bull from them last week, and they're at a pasture where I don't have the best facilities. It's a rented pasture at a neighbor's. And a heifer has pink eye, right? And just as your viewers maybe don't know, pink eye just happens, or disease happens in the hog barn or whatever. And so I'm trying to catch her, but it happens to be, and my cows are always pretty tame. That's what we breed for, docility. And if we got a wild one, she's the nervous one. Hey, sorry, we're not going to put up with that. So this one, I've been trying every morning for about an hour every morning. I'm getting really irritated because strike one, she's a heifer. So heifers are just dumb when it comes to falling in line and doing what they're supposed to do. 2, she got pink eye, which is horrible. Now 3, she's learned how to jump gates, which is not something we put up with, period. Yeah. So literally yesterday morning, took the corn in the bunk, all 16, 17 others came in, and who's standing 10 feet outside the gate is that one. So she needs to be nervous because she's on the list. And she's driving me nuts. So we need to get her treated and take care of her, obviously, but I don't know. I don't know if that one's going to make the cut, especially when $1,800 or $2,000 for a call cow these days. It gets a lot of the old boys thinking, I think, in the livestock world of, hey, I'm ready to do this. And you guys hit on that in this show of, building the herd back. A lot of these guys are seeing these dollars, I think, as older farmers, and hey, I'm ready. I'm just ready to be done.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously there's deeper storylines of tariffs and imports and exports, Mexico, and all that stuff in the cattle world. But I don't know this USA herd. What is the timeline going to be on building it back, or if it ever does? I don't know. I don't think it's going to stay this high forever. I'm not saying that, but.
Well, yeah, I think it was a perfect storm. I mean, her numbers are down, but then I feel like people, like the American consumer, have we just gotten to the point where they're just like, I don't give a shit. Beef's beef. I look at it as it's the best, superior. I'm buying it at whatever price it is. Because it's like people are still buying beef.
I know.
And I don't know if it's because the economy, we've gone through this time where everything went up. And so the beef price just went up and nobody asked any questions because, well, everything's gone up. So shit, I'm not gonna not get a steak because everything went up.
Yeah.
And they just don't realize, you know what I mean? They just have the perception that everything's going up. So shit.
It's like you walk into a Quick Star or something, and I walk in and get a bubbler for $2.79 and a protein bar for $3.89. All of a sudden, I'm spending $6-7 with nothing in my hands.
Right.
And I've got people that get mad that we raised our price of eggs per dozen to $5.50, and I'm like, man, you get, from a nutrition standpoint, you get substantially more nutrition from this dozen of eggs than you do walking in. But are we dulled a little bit as a society? I don't know, man. Like I said, we started not packaging us, but our own label in our store with our own beef. And we ran out of ribeyes. Like, well, I kind of want a ribeye last weekend. So I was at Fairway dropping off some sweet corn.
Yep.
I'm going to go get one or two. My mother-in-law was in town. I'm like, I'll get my mother-in-law one. And shoot, it was
$19.95
$43 for two.
Yep.
I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep butchering our own beef. But it's I don't know what the answer is, Sawyer, if we're just dulled or we're just now have accepted it. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to keep up with.
Yeah.
How much wood can a Kroul chuck?
Can a Kroul chuck?
Yeah, I mean, if people throw that on you.
No, that's a
I
good
saw
one.
that machine you guys got. I imagine you can chuck a lot.
Yeah,
with
no,
that
that's been definitely a upgrade because I remember in high school we'd go out. This is our ritual. We go out Thanksgiving morning and we split a load of firewood by hand and deliver it to a customer on Thanksgiving, which very odd, but whatever. That's what we did. But from high school for hand splitting a load in 40 minutes to being able to process, a cord and a half or more every hour, 6 to 8 cords a day if we're really humping it with that machine. So, and that was a Blockbuster down on Mount Pleasant. We did some research and, East Coast has a lot of different companies out there, but Blockbuster's been great. They recently got bought out by Bazooka.
Yeah.
And then obviously that's owned by Stutzman's or whatever. But no, they've been great to work with. And Dad was just asking me yesterday, he goes, starting to nickel and dime us. I'm like, man, it just got paid off. Can we get 2 more years? Can he hold together? So who knows? We don't go any bigger, but it's just nice. We're used to that machine and we can definitely get ahead of it sometimes. Pile gets a little low come October, November, but when we settle back in our groove, December, January, and split some wood.
Is that business steady, or is that one of those deals that?
No, honestly, Tork, we almost sell more wood in the summer, spring, summer, and fall than we do winter, because
recreational is
I'm a
more
hypocrite.
than.
I don't have a wood burner in my house.
Yeah.
Just how the house that we bought. But very few people heat solely with wood. It's more of just a ambiance or setting the mood with your significant other or something with the fire. But
the bear rug under the fire.
We got to get that bear skin rug.
A lot of it's just backyard patios and fire pits and camping, quite a few parks next to us, which we supply with the bundled firewood.
Yeah.
So, honestly, it's almost just as much as it is in the summer than it is wintertime. So it's pretty consistent, which I don't think Dad thought that 40 years ago when he was trying to get beer money, that it was going to turn into a pretty consistent. And there's not many competitors in the wood business because it is
specialized.
Yeah, you touch that piece of wood 5 times by the time you gets to its end deal, cutting a tree down, loading on the processor, goes through the processor, put it inside, and then load it on a truck. And we'll stack it sometimes at people's places too. And maybe that's one of those businesses. I don't know. It's a free resource if you want to call it that.
Because you got the location to have the supply.
Yeah, and we try and do a good job of making sure we're managing our forest the right way and our timbers the right way with the local forester. We'll walk every couple of years, just kind of, hey, are we doing this right? And get some recommendations from him. But
how many people? I mean, you got a lot of shit going. So how many employees do you have? Part-time, high school? What's that look like?
So we're all part-time pretty much, which is kind of just goes by the season. So I would say altogether, if I would add it up and look at it was probably 30 to be honest, but that's about 5 or 6 people rotate on the front counter, checking out. And that involves some watering flowers or watering product. But basically just restocking the store. That's about 6, 7 people that rotate through that schedule. And that's just through an app. We use When I Work. It's just an app to kind of organize, shifts and get that figured out. There's about 4 people on the CSA staff, we'll call it, the garden staff every day. So they're packing those CSAs, picking in the garden, weeding in the garden, whatever needs to be done. And then myself, my mom and dad are still around, and my wife handles kind of getting things organized from a staff standpoint and training staff, on pricing and goods. And then we jumped in the H2A program probably 5 years ago now. Father-son come up April 15th, November 15th. So they've been, definitely a needed thing. I mean, they're great dudes that show up every day, smile on their face, just are happy to work and happy to have a team to work with and eat a meal, eat lunch every day with them. And you know, they've been instrumental in some of the growth and some of those daily tasks that require time that, as you guys know, you know, some of us don't have, or if you're trying to grow your business, you don't have the time to split wood for 6 hours a day. But those guys, you know, I don't get them splitting wood for 6 hours, but hey, they'll split wood for 2. We'll pick pumpkins for 3 and help me with this project, you know, re-tinning a side of a barn or something, you know. So they've been instrumental in some of that. So, but yeah, it rotates. A couple of retired guys drive pumpkins for me September, October, you know, just looking for something to do in 3 or 4 hours a day, and they can go still play golf later that day. So it's also kind of an animal to organize sometimes, but you know, it works. We're at the point now with mom and dad being 66, 67. How do we start implementing some full-time employees, and how do we keep them busy in our Iowa winters and things like that? You know, so we're working through that as we speak with a young gentleman. So,
Yeah. So your retail store, it's set up to sell produce. Do you sell pumpkins? You sell your own beef in there?
Yep.
And that's open all the time?
Yeah, so Monday through Thursday, 10 to 6, Friday through Sunday, 9 to 4.
Nice.
And that's pretty much...
Sell everything there.
Yeah, so I would say 90% our own product. Do we have some like honey from a local guy? Dan and Debbie's Creamery is a creamery, another family-owned business that kind of, we're in the dairy industry and did the same thing. Like, hey, this isn't working. The new generation's coming on board. So they bought a place in the town of Ely, and they distribute wholesale and retail to us and do that for them. So yeah, it's everything. You know, it's right now, it's eggs, it's produce, sweet corn's still going. And like I said, picked our first pumpkin yesterday, so August 26th. So there'll start being some pumpkins, and fall decor, man. Pumpkin lattes and everything else are right around the corner, Tork. Why not?
Do you sell coffee? Do you sell lattes there? That would be good.
That's another thing. Don't stop giving my wife ideas, but you know, you see some other farms doing it. You know, the apple turnovers or cider or things like that. We just get a couple food trucks on the busy weekends in September and October. That's kind of how we're handling it right now as far as facilities go. Lynn County sometimes can be hard with health inspection and building things to code. And it's funny, like you know, in Washington, you can probably have people into this barn, right? That was built, I don't know what year this is, you know, mid 50s or whatever, earlier, much earlier maybe. And it just doesn't fly, like, you know, which is, that could be a whole conversation with us, just of living in Lynn or Johnson, or trying to operate an ag business in Lynn or Johnson, or like Des Moines or Polk County or something. Has a little different set of rules, depending on what group of supervisors in the helm, and how they operate with ag. So
it's kind of like the USDA inspectors. I've heard that there's lenient guys and gals that you can. They're
if you
all
have
right.
an honest conversation with them and say, hey, no, I have my customer's best interest as well. Like, I'm not trying to cut corners, but.
And then you got the ones that are like, by the book.
That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, I question it a little bit, you know, and I could go into some stories, and USDA is great, but some stuff with the EQIP program, and what do you mean I can't tear down this barn that's over 50 years old? Like, that's where I want to put my new cattle building. Well, no, your barn's over 50 years old. You can't do that. I'm like, doesn't make any sense. It's starting to fall down. Grandpa built it in 1950 from the previous barn boards. So the boards are 120 years old, you know, so just sometimes common sense doesn't, you know, it just doesn't work that way. But
sometimes there's just a place for what I call casual smoking. Whoops. Darn.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, well, let's pretend you didn't see it then.
It's an accident.
Yeah, we have aerial imaging, they said outside. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yep.
Start smoking, Tork.
So how are you handling, or do you have any advice for people that are in that situation where they are trying to figure out their transition plan? Sawyer's trying to figure out a transition plan already.
So that's funny you say that, because, you know, we were blessed that grandma lived to be 95, right? Yep. My father had 4 other siblings, all off farm. And luckily she lived to be that old, sane of mind to kind of get it figured out. But he was 60. You know, he bought the farm right out of high school. They went south a couple months. You know, they kind of handled life that way. That's how they did it. You're like, hey, John, take it. You know, pay us that lump sum for the ground and the equipment at 90%, 17% interest, and did it and took that risk and did it. But luckily, estate planning, she lived that long to be able to do it, right? Yep. And now I'm 39, 40, trying to push them to do it when they just got theirs figured out. It's a tough conversation, but my advice would be, you know, I see so many farm families that wait and don't have anything on the books or anything in writing to have it planned out. And I just feel like you got to have those tough conversations. As much as I hate them, my wife would tell you, like, I don't like confrontation with anything, but you have to have those conversations now. One, for your peace of mind of your financial future. You know, how's my next 20, 25 years go? Or in our realm, what business do I shift my attention to make sense for my family? You know, my family of 6, my wife and my 4 kids. You're not trying to look out for yourself, but you are at the same time. Like, but it's tough for that older generation. And he mentions it in Farms of America, like tough to give it away. And that's not what it is at all. I mean, I got a brother there too, that's older, that came back kind of after I came back. So it's a lot of dynamics that play in our personal situation. Yeah. But my advice is just have those conversations earlier, you know, as much as it stinks or as much as Sawyer asks you something and you're like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not even thinking about that, but you have to, I think. Yeah. Else you end up like a lot of family farms that start fighting and they don't talk to each other and things end badly, or it ends up just getting sold to the next big farmer or something like that too. Yeah. So it's tough.
I think one of the pitfalls for older generations, and I'm working my way into becoming the older generation.
You're calling yourself that? All right.
Well,
working your way. I get it.
This is a popular theme, but I ask people so I'm 54. I'm 54, right? 54.
I think.
I don't know. That's right. Well,
Yeah,
usually what happens is when I have a birthday, I go 6 or 8 months telling people the wrong age because I forget that I got a year older or whatever. I'm not losing it yet.
I turned 40 this year. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Get to that.
But mine's easy. I was born in 2000, so if I ever become senile, I just got to look at the year and be like, oh yeah,
I can still do subtraction. When
there you go. I can do basic math.
Yeah.
But one, I always ask people my age. It's like, do you think it's odd that now you're at the age where people look at you and you're supposed to have wisdom?
Yeah, you're supposed to.
You just get to an age and people just assume that you should know things.
Which I feel like I know nothing still at 39.
Well, I'd like to tell you it gets a lot better, but it doesn't. Like people call you from the church and want to know, oh, hey, will you be on this governing body or this? Or, hey, you should be on the bank board or you should be on this.
Which I know nothing about,
And you're like, yeah, I'm not any smarter than I was when I was his age. That's one thing. But the other thing that I see myself, and this is the problem that my dad had, I know, is, and I can see it in your dad when he said that about giving it away, it's the identity.
Yes.
As much as it is anything, because like for me, I don't know. I feel like I always ask people, I wonder if plumbers feel like this or people that build family businesses, and I'm sure they do a little bit, but there is a connection to all the things on that farm. And like here, there's enough stuff here that I walked the same path that my dad walked, that his dad walked, that his dad walked.
Change is hard. Change is definitely hard.
And you just get in this that it shouldn't be, but the stuff, the land, the buildings, the tools, the things that you use to make your living, like they become to where it's your identity. And the idea of not being in charge of that identity, like giving up control of that,
frightens you.
That's what's hard.
Yeah.
No.
I wish transition was easy, and I wish there was a simple answer, or there was this one way they need to do it and structure it. But every situation's different, and my advice is just try and have those conversations as much as you hate to have them, because you just want to farm. Like, you just want to show up. And we do that. I mean, that's why things get put off. It's like, hey, what do we got today? Oh, we need to go try and catch that stupid heifer, number one. And then 2, we got to pick 2 racks of pumpkins. And we got 2 loads of wood going out, blah, blah, blah. So you just get stuck in that perpetual daily farm, because that's what we want to do. We just want to make this place better. We want to make it financially feasible and survive. And then, we don't want to talk about this trust or this estate planning or this LLC needs to be created for the land. And, we don't want to talk about that, but you have to, unfortunately.
Having time to think about the business is really important. Not being working in the business is what we all want to do, because it's what it's in your blood. But thinking about the whole thing as a whole and having the time to really think about that. It's really hard when you're going, but you're right. It's so important.
You mentioned that. I mean, this older generation and generation before was like, how many hours can you work?
Yeah.
And you mentioned on this podcast, like,
that's
how it's equated. Like, how many hours do you work? That's how you're that is
successful.
Who you are. That's who you build yourself, and that's what you stand behind. And now, in this day and age of the tight margins and just the things that you face in agriculture, like, you have to evaluate it. And I can admit it, I don't do a good enough job some days, just because I'm trying to call a Hy-Vee produce manager, or call people back that maybe called the day before, and you just get caught, and then all of a sudden it's 5 p.m. and we got 3rd and 4th grade flag football practice from 5 to 7:30, and then dinner, and then kids in bed by 8:45, and you're like, man, I know I need to go in that office until 10:30, 11, but I really kind of want to stay in shape and get to the gym sometimes too. It's life, but we're in that grind. At least my wife and I are, and everyone is. Like, everyone's like, you guys do a lot of things out there. I'm like, it's all relative. Like, you work hard too, Mr. Whoever, like Mrs. Whatever.
Gosh, he's my favorite.
Tork works hard too. Everyone's got their thing. You know what I mean? If you're a driven person and you have ambition to, like I said, make that place better, or whatever your job is, make that place better, like, you never feel like you're doing enough. But at the same time, you got to sit back and kind of evaluate and do what you can. I don't know.
I think what you said about, what's also hard about the transition plan is, like, you got to think about, like, the hardest part as a farmer. Like, I don't know how it's hard doing this just as anybody that's going off and leaving the nest from your family, and starting your own life with you, your wife, and your kids. But I feel like it's really hard when it's a family business and a family farming operation, because it's like, you work with your family, you work with your mom and dad. Like, you want the best for them, and you want what's best for the whole family farm and small business. But at the same time, like you said, you do have to think.
Yeah, and it's not selfish is the wrong word. But you got to think about your core is, like what your core is, and how you move forward, and maybe someday I can retire. I think the old man Larson, they pop in my thing. He's like, I used to think that I would work until I was dead, but now he's like, maybe I want to go to sunny Florida or something like that. So, like, at age 40, what does our retirement look like, or is there retirement? I don't know. Or how do we plan for that financially to make something happen? But
it's very easy, like, as a young person, like, it's very easy to focus on the farm. Like, I feel like that's something that I've struggled with, is, like, since I've came back, it's all been about the farm. And then you're like, shit, I'm 25.
Yeah.
I'm going to have kids.
Yeah, you're so old.
I'm going to have, I'm going to have to start having kids. I'm going to have my own family unit. I can't necessarily just be thinking about growth,
Your time gets pulled in other directions.
I'm starting to kind of get there where it's like, okay, I got to maybe not be so balls to the wall, gas pedal all the way to the floor for
what's smart, what's the right play.
I got to be thinking about.
I think I had my first kid at 26. So you're getting there, Sawyer.
So anyway,
it might have been a good idea. This is just from the outside looking in.
I'm scared of
this.
It
might have been a good idea for you to have those thoughts before you started 3 other entities besides the 2 that we had going.
I was doing a little research on the farmer grade and things. That's we're always kind of looking for other things that are still related to egg, but not blood, sweat, and tears. What is that? What is that look like? I don't know.
Yeah, well, hey, you said you're starting to sell beef direct to
I did.
consumer.
I looked at the
and I
website
was
last
like,
night. I saw some of the
well,
farms.
shit, maybe we can do something together. But yeah,
Well, I'll just say this. In ag, there's things that we put up with in the farming world that we think to ourselves, people that we deal with, suppliers, equipment, quality of equipment, service on equipment, and you say to yourself, why do we put up with this? And you think to yourself, only in ag would it be this jacked up.
Yeah.
Go start a meat business, and that'll make you feel good about the farming because you'll be like, these people are all pricks, and the surface sucks, and everybody's trying to screw you over. You're like, this is just like farming.
Yeah.
All business is like
Yes.
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cut.
No-
I mean, it can be cutthroat no matter what business you're in. I mean, it's just how it is. But yeah,
Nice guys finish last, and
Yeah.
I like to think of myself as a nice guy, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it'll callous you.
you've
a
got to
little bit.
self-advocate, I guess. Is
You
the
do
right,
have
right
to.
word. We we've learned that, my wife and I, in our early years. Just you've got to not overspeak your mind, but you've got to stand up for yourself a little bit, or you're just gonna get
steamrolled.
ran over.
Yeah.
But
Question I had for you, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, you got so much stuff going on. You got 4 kids, you got a wife. What do you do what do you do in your daily life to be the leader you need to be and to be the best version that you got to be? Because I know, this is something I struggle with now with everything we got going on, balancing it all. If you're not at your best, shit's going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be at your best. Yeah. And so you got to take some time to be at your best. So I was just curious, what's your day look like to handle your kids, have a relationship with your wife, get everything going? I mean, what do you do for yourself to set yourself up to be a good leader?
Yeah. I mean, it's leading by example, and that's kind of a cliche thing to say, but at the same time, I coach a lot of my kids' sports, and I feel like that's, as a past athlete, a lot of the parents in the community look at you like you should be the coach, but sometimes I'm like, I kind of just want to let someone else do it. But I view it as another couple hours I get to spend with and the kid individually. If that's the ride home from practice or the ride to or at practice, using athletics to kind of teach life a little bit. But you just got to learn sometimes there's always going to be work the next day, the next hour. I mean, just a simple story. This last weekend, it was like 3:30. My wife was out of town for something. My mother-in-law was helping me kind of watching the kids on a weekend just because getting in the fall, like it's 6-7 days a week now. And I picked one up from her birthday party, got back home about 3:30. I'd been mowing hay previous to that and got back at the house like 3:30, 4 o'clock. And mother-in-law made a comment in front of the kids like, hey, Matt, I got this. You can go back to work. And it was Saturday at like 4. I'm like, man, I go, don't take this wrong, but I don't really feel like it. Like, it's Saturday night, if all 4 kids are home, you're here, I don't get to see your mother-in-law that much. I'm like, I'm just going to stay put because I know if I go back out there, I'm going to have to finish that field, and it's going to be 8 p.m.
Yep.
So it's one of those deals where even my daughter said it. My oldest is 10. She's like, hey, Dad, why don't you go back to the farm? I was like, you have those conversations. I think it's just conversation. How do you lead and how do you set the example? It's like, I said, no, honey, like, I just want to have dinner and hang out and try not to blow my knee out on the trampoline, but I'll jump on the trampoline with you guys and do whatever. So that doesn't happen. I wish it happened more. Like I could be like, yeah, because like you're just going to keep going or get to work early or stay later. But I think my kids are getting at that age of athletics where that's a time to teach and be around them. But at the same time, not every hour needs to be driving a tractor or picking a pumpkin or, doing something out there. So little things like that, I think, will pop up more too, is those conscious decisions to spend an extra hour or 2 here or there. So
yeah. Do you have any rules for yourself? Like, is it like you want to try to aim to be done with work by 5 p.m.? Are you trying to get up early? Are you planning your days? When are you going to the gym?
Like summer was different. Like I was getting out of the house kind of before the house started rolling, which is fine because I know you get stuck there if you stay to like 7:15, 7:30 and the kids start getting out of bed. But summer's different, so we just started school this week. So I see them off to school, and normally there's a practice at like 5:30. So, I mean, that's kind of 7:30 to 5 is a normal work day, but then fall and spring, like I'll do some night shifts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's
all bets are off.
being able to upgrade equipment. I can
Yep.
run my egg leader, at night and
Yep.
not have to worry about staring at a line with my marker. And then just, we do not a lot. We do about 250 acres of cover crops. So I'll seed some cover crop at night, after my brother gets soybeans out or whatever, we chop something.
Yeah.
So you'll have that. Like I'll put him to bed and I'll go back until 1 a.m. or something, which trust me, it's not 8 months out of the year. It's a couple months out of the year. So I don't know. Yeah, you aim. I mean, your life just kind of structures itself. Now they're back on a schedule in school and practices 5 nights a week out of the 7. Like
Holy
your
cow.
time's just kind of scheduled in its own. But,
Yeah.
to get work done, you just got to put a little extra time in at night sometimes.
Well, I just sitting here, I think I've got your retirement plan figured out. Yeah, because we met these young ladies 3 years ago. And you see the similarity, Sawyer. He's got 3 daughters and a son, and he's got a pumpkin patch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Southeast Iowa Farm Girls and brother. You know the New York? Have you ever heard of the New York Farm Girls?
No.
So they've kind
I
of
live under a rock. Some
so they're from New York, and I mean they've kind of shelved. Well, I don't keep up with them because they're your age.
Well, yeah, they for a long time they were on Instagram and Facebook and all that and TikTok, and their dad started a pumpkin patch way back. His name's Tim, and they've kind of turned that into a brew barn. So they got a brew barn. They're doing ag tourism heavy, like
events,
the pumpkin
weddings,
patch. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
They've really gone all in on it because the girls, I think, really wanted to be a part of it. They're a big dairy farm out there, so they had dairy cattle. They did social media. Their dad had this pumpkin patch, but they've gone, as they got older, they went really all in on the pumpkin patch.
They said, "Dad, just get out."
This is our baby now.
Yeah, and so it's really, I mean, I think they really have made a damn good pumpkin patch, like creme de la creme of pumpkin patches, because they just bought into it. But they actually have kind of taken a backseat on the social media because thing about having daughters on social media is there's some fucking wackos out there. And so they've kind of got off social media a little bit because I think they've had some problems.
They're older. I mean, they're all, the youngest one would she still be college age or?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But the other 2 have graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that whole time.
But
in their life.
they leveraged that, just their day-to-day lives, doing all the work
You
and
hear
all
it
that.
all the time. I mean, between Cedar Rapids and Iowa City, everyone has that dream to be out in the country, have some round bales in the background, get married, perfect setting. And yeah, trust me, we'd be lying if we didn't talk about it. When some of these barns are booked out 3 or 4 years in advance at whatever the rental rate is, $5 to $10,000 and for one night or something stupid. But I'd be lying if we didn't.
We should get you ordained. We could marry him right here at the bar.
There you go.
Yep.
There you
Might
go.
be a slightly different clientele.
yeah.
It would be
10 people. You have close family in here, but
just hang out at the wheel and somebody's like, "We should get married." You'd be like, "Come on out. Let's get it done."
Hey, whatever we got to do.
live with girlfriend? As I've heard?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. How many? That's been a few years.
It's been a few years. Yep.
All right, man.
Yep. We're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I won't grill you.
Yeah.
I sound like my father right now. Shit or get off the pot. I think are his exact words.
Pretty
to
much.
Me.
Yeah.
Pretty
No,
much.
I won't grill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're getting to
there.
that point in your life. Where your time's going to start getting pulled some directions. How do you prioritize that? How do you manage it? There's no freaking...
There's
Your
no
life kind of
playbook.
runs itself, I guess, is the right thing to say.
I've seen some people got a quote saying, "You don't get a do-over of being a good dad or a good husband.
Yeah.
You only get one shot at that. Business, you can have multiple opportunities to make a business, but when it comes to being a good dad and a good husband,
Yeah.
you got one shot.
What's the stat like? From the ages of 1 to 10, that's 80% of your time with your kids.
Yeah.
Because then as they start driving or they get in high school, that's less and less. And then obviously college or their next adventure in life, see them 1% of the time. The rest of that 50 years that you're alive or 40. So that kind of puts things in perspective when my oldest is 10, almost 11. And that just, people say it goes fast. I mean, it flew by, and now my youngest just started preschool today. So,
Yep.
yeah, we'll see what these daughters come up with, man. I don't know what they'll come up with, but hopefully some. And who knows? If they choose you something else, whatever. But if they want to pour their passion into what our place is, see what they come up with. And
Yep.
I try and I tell my wife all the time, we got to take notes. about our parents, what we feel we're not happy with some days, or we don't like the way they reacted to a situation or whatever. But I go, let's just remember this when we're 50 to 65, like, how do we want to react, or how do we want to be seen by our 4 kids? Like,
Shit, you don't have a list, do you?
Oh, it's down. It's
in his
3
phone.
pages
It's in his
long
notes.
now.
Dang it. Don't do me
you know
a
what I mean,
favor.
though? Not to get too serious, but like,
Yeah.
you know, you got stuff that bothers you. Obviously, they're your parents, but
Yeah.
you know, large or small, like, how do we hold those relationships with 4 kids, you know, through their life, and want to be someone that you want to hang out with, you know? I want to be the fun, cool dad later in life, you know? So, and hopefully live long enough to see grandkids and all that jazz. So, yeah.
100%.
Damn, we're getting sentimental.
Yeah. We get deep up here. We get deep.
Yeah.
We don't like surface level bullshit.
I hear you. I hear you.
So, I guess, what do you think's the biggest challenge for your guys' operation moving forward? If you had to look and think about it.
This transition right now is challenging. I'll shoot you straight. Like, you know, I mentioned brother had some health problems, like had a heart attack, April heart attack, and then had a stroke a few days later. So, you know, kind of dealing with that. He actually came back and mowed the yard yesterday, so he's able to start doing stuff. His right side was kind of shut down, so he's been kind of my row crop guy. Like, he does all the combining, kind of manages that realm with another cousin and things. So where is that going to lead? You know, parents being 66, 67. How do we kind of fine tune this transition to dictate how this thing gets carried on or bought or moved on between our brother and I and wife? And yeah, I think that's definitely a challenge. And I think I keep throwing these random stats out, but I think like 45% of Iowa's farmland will change hands in the next 10 to 15 years. Something stupid, like crazy number. Who's that go to? You know, we battle just recreational people in our area. Like, hey, I want a 40 to go hunting on, and they're going to pay. There's, you know, a doctor or something in town that obviously is making a little more than Mr. Matt, the farmer. So they're paying 12, 15,000 an acre to go hunting on or build a house or whatever. You know, how do we compete with that and make our businesses work, trying to grow a zucchini or a pumpkin? You know, it's just that's the other challenge I think would say. It was just competing land prices, and as our population grows and everyone's dream is to own 10 or 40 acres out in the country, how do we compete with that, you know, from a money standpoint? So 2-part. Yeah, I think just the world we live in and the quick inflation that we talked about and land prices, and then the transitioning of your family farm and acres, you know, or if there's opportunities that come up next to you to buy, you know, what can you spend? What can you do? You know, obviously your idea is to always grow it, but if it doesn't make, I mean, if you're going to break yourself over it, doesn't make sense, you know, don't do it. So, I don't know.
What's the biggest opportunity? Like, what are you most excited about looking forward?
Oh, what am I most excited about? Just seeing where these go. Like that firewood business started with dad splitting, his buddy splitting 1 load of wood a week, and now we deliver 15 to 20 cord, you know, some weeks. So, yeah, just interested to see, you know, and I think you hit on it earlier about, hey, are all your finances split up? No, not as well as I would like them to be, but evaluate some of these businesses and get excited about, you know, I think the beef ones, if I can continue to find processing, my wife's like, well, let's just get her own process. Like, nobody wants to cut meat up.
Trust me.
Yes, I know you're in this realm right now. Yes.
That's a lot. People, like, that's a dream. A lot of people say,
no,
oh, yeah,
100%.
let's just build a fucking processing
Let's just
facility.
get a box car that is all-encompassing, you know, processing center. I'm like,
it's hard.
But I'm excited about that. Like, that's the one thing that we can continue to try and direct to consumer and control rather than just take them to Oxford. And we always do great, and kudos to them, you know, do well at the sale. But how do we control that? You know, I don't think this beef market's going to ride this high, because right now, as you know, I'm probably making $200 or $300 less going through all the processing and all the packaging and taking time to put it in my store when I could take a fat cattle and make $300 more right now in this time. So,
but
my timing's not the best to get into the retail sales of beef, but I think that'll stay if this market does come down. So just controlling that. I mean, that I didn't give you a really straight answer, Tork, on what excites me, but
growth.
Just growth and
opportunity.
Opportunity of growth and continue to have our mission always be to educate people too. Every October we probably have 40, 50 elementary kids every day doing a tour, right? And so we'll show them the chickens. What do we get out of chicken? Chicken nuggets. No, it's, these are egg layers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, this is a steer, this is a heifer. There's our grain bin that we put, so it's not a good way to always make money just to be an educational thing, but at the same time,
it's important though.
Yes. And I think we've got to keep people grounded and connected and realize, especially in Iowa and Midwest and all the whole nation, everyone's got their piece of egg that we provide to the food chain. Keep them educated on what it takes and some of the challenges that we do go through. And very large percentage of farmers have the land in mind. Like we're not trying to ruin what provides our living. So I think that's just being educational from that standpoint.
Yeah. And so do you feel like your North Star, like what you do it all for, is it for legacy? Is it for, I want to pass this farm on to the next generation? Is that kind of the thing that you think about the most? Or is it you just love the work? Do you love the game of, man, we're building something for ourselves and we're growing it, and that you just love it?
I think the competitive aspect of the background for me of athletics and always trying to get better and, cliche again to say, leave this place better than you had it. But, we can clear this pasture from these freaking locust trees or Malfar rows. And, 50 years ago, that's all it was that, we're doing something and, leaving this place better. I don't know if legacy's coming to my mind yet. With my boy's 9 and my oldest daughter's 10 and 7 and 4. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but I think in a few years, obviously, when they get later high school, college, what are they gravitating towards? That might come into play more. But I think it's just the competitive nature of how much can we get done during a day, and in our local community, who can we affect or get to try out some local produce or drive 5 miles and get sweet corn rather than going to the grocery store and things like that. So, yeah.
What do you do for yourself to stay sane? Like, is it the gym? Is it the gym? Is it coaching?
I see whiskey. No,
yeah. Yeah. Like, cause that's something that when you're doing so much, you can just get to this point where it feels like all you do is work.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think, like, for me, it's the gym, it's where I can just like take a breath a little bit.
I went this morning. I try and go twice a week to just a local gym, just kind of get out. It's 5 a.m. class, so you go 5 to 6. I try and do that twice a week. And then I bought a cold tub here a couple years ago, so like do that, trying 3-4 times a week. And that was my past life, like playing your cold tub, your sauna, hot tub. And I kind of didn't do that for 15 years. I'm like, man, and it was a fad, but bought one and enjoy it. It kind of resets you, or that's the 4 minutes that I sit in it that you can kind of just not think about something. And then we're finishing our basement, and there's literally a sauna in a box in my garage that I'll put downstairs as well. So have like a little retreat / wellness area, I guess, for me to, when my kids are yelling, run around naked, that I can just go hide down there for maybe 15 minutes. But that's kind of I enjoyed football, obviously, and I enjoyed wrestling, and I enjoyed all the sports I did. But I enjoyed the training aspect of it more, lifting, working out, and as I push 40, trying to stay in shape. So I think my dad lasted till about sophomore year in the wrestling room. So my goal is to, if Brady wrestles, last maybe till his whole high school, stay in shape enough that I can at least give him a go for 30 seconds. But we'll see. So I think that's it. So I mean, if I could disconnect twice a week and go work out for an hour and just halfway sweat, not baling hay or baling straw, I'll go run around in a gym. But yeah, that's my way. I'd love to hunt more. That doesn't happen right now in the fall and things. If I make it out twice, that's kind of a win for me, so.
Did you grow up hunting, or is it something you
Not really. My dad's buddies all still come back. They do the normal like deer camp, first season shotgun, and they have a great time. They've been doing it 50 years. But now it's more just a social thing rather than hunting. So that's how I kind of grew up, was that way. But I like bow hunting if I can get out there in a stand for 2 or 3 hours right after Halloween, when things aren't slowing down, but slowing down for us. So
Are you a euchre or a pepper?
Euchre. 100%.
Oh, there you go.
Buck euchre.
Yeah, euchre, not much euchre down here.
No?
Everybody pepper.
You ever
I've heard of
pepper?
it, and I played it once, but I wouldn't do it.
Oh.
Similar, though.
It's
very
very similar. I personally
Really,
like it
15
better.
minutes away, like it's that big a
It
difference?
is.
Like it's
Yeah.
pepper
It's
only.
pepper. Yeah. And I personally like it because I played euchre. I've never played euchre, and I played it with guys that grew up north of here. And pepper's just higher. It's just higher pace. It's like,
Really?
yeah.
I'm probably not smart enough for pepper.
No, you'd love it.
Well, and it's
You'd love it.
interesting because my wife's family, her mom's side, well, her dad's side too, grew up Morning Sun area, and they all play pitch.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Pitch, and then you get in this area and towards Kyoto, it's pepper, and you go north, it's
Yes,
euchre, and
For your list, I'm 50 minutes north, basically. So yeah, weird.
Yeah.
You ever played Swick?
No.
no, never heard of it.
Swick's even more simple, so you guys probably wouldn't like it if you like pepper, but same sort of idea.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Jeez.
How do we get on card games?
I don't know. I don't know.
Who do you feel like has had the biggest impact on your life?
Dang.
Yeah. We're going back to deep.
My wife provides a great perspective sometimes. Like you want to marry up, like she's definitely smarter than me, and she can kind of step back sometimes in business and in life and kind of evaluate things. From a consumer side in our business, like she can step back and kind of see that or what'll work and what won't. So, and then obviously just the way she kind of is our rock and kind of leads us and things like that. But Coach Doyle is one that always pops into my brain as a guy that, you know, he's changed a lot of young guys' lives. And unfortunately, what happened. And his legacy is kind of tarnished from that standpoint. But, you know, he was everything to a lot of guys that came through during that time period. So he's one that, you know, gave you that hype up speech about every lifting session. And you're like, yeah, like you would run through that wooden wall. Like you're blue collar. They need us. This world needs us. Like you need to do this. Got to do this. And it's like 105 in this bubble. And we're doing fat camp slide boards. And we're like, no, this is the worst thing ever. But somehow he would initiate your brain to think that it was necessary to play football, you know, and that's a powerful thing when it comes to that grind in that 5-year period that a lot of guys go through. So he's one that's always been, you know, kind of instrumental in setting that foundation of how you lead your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Every Iowa player you talk to that
say that?
lived that era. I mean, there's nobody that speaks badly of him. I mean, he's hard on you, but if he wasn't hard on you,
universal asshole, I think he even called himself, you know, and a lot of guys.
If he wasn't getting on your ass, he didn't care.
No.
So if he got on your ass, he cared about you.
He mentioned that. He goes, I had sometimes a higher vision for their athletic careers than the players themselves. And that's how he kind of handled himself. So yeah, he's one. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say my wife. And then obviously my parents, like I'm not going to say that. Like they still work their tails off for 10, 12 hours a day or more. And that farms their life. Mom was a postal carrier, rural carrier for 34 years. So like to watch her 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. do 100 miles a day in the car delivering mail, and then come home and castrate pigs or teeth pigs, and you know, to watch them kind of grind through those years. And
that generation. There's a guy not too far north of where you grew up, and I won't say their name, but I sold them a hog building, and they farmed like 1,800 acres, and just nonchalantly, because the mom, I think she might have been a mail carrier too, but we were talking, and just off the cuff, she said, we've never combined an acre of corn or planted an acre of corn in daylight, because the husband worked at a welding shop in Tipton, I think, and she had a job, and they farmed 1,800 acres and raised 3 boys, and they did it all from.
They didn't sleep.
Yeah,
they didn't sleep for.
And I mean, but that's that. You know, that's how they did it.
I get it. Yeah,
that's how they did it. And
I like my sleep. Don't get me wrong. Like I was back in the day. I'm playing. You got to get 8-9 hours, and now if I get 6, I feel really good. But
I'll just I'll say this, and it sticks in my mind in the conversation that we're having. I think it was a year ago. I went to a deal down in Kansas City that what's their name? Van Trump puts on. I think it's called FarmCon, and he was speaking the first day, and I wrote this down. I have it on my desk, and it says, "Don't let the don't let the opportunities that you pray for become what you complain about. And we talk about that a lot here when we get going about, complaining about this or that. Just be thankful that we actually have opportunity. Because if I think about, like, if I was stuck, if we wouldn't have started what we started and we were just like row cropping and we didn't have anything, I think the feeling of not knowing what the hell you're going to do would be a lot worse than having too much to do and just trying to decide,
choose.
Like, how do we make this all work?
It's like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Like,
that's where we're at.
That's farming a lot of times, but how do you get out of that cycle? Yeah. No, that's glad you said that.
Being a dad in today's world, raising young kids in today's world, I feel like it's kind of a scary. I don't know. We had this conversation. I try to bring this up with anybody that's a dad. It's weird time that we're in, raising kids in today's world. How do you feel about the world your kids are growing up in? And is there anything that you are trying to keep your kids away from, or what's your just thought process on all that?
Oh man, you ask these tough ones, Sawyer. We live in the world of screen time. We can get into the whole scientific of dopamine and all that stuff with, I see it when she's 10, like she's a big Caitlin Clark fever plan. Like, she's basketball through and through right now. That game will be on, but then she's staring at somehow got my wife's phone, is like looking at him like, Leighton, hey, just either watch the game, like put that down. So like, that's minor what we're talking about of the whole picture, but like they're growing up with screens, and I'm not trying to stop them. Like, I don't think I'm going to be that parent to be like, no, we're not having a PlayStation. We're not doing this, but how do you limit it and how do you control it? All her friends are getting phones in 5th grade. And I'm like, no. I think you'll be 12 and it'll be 6th grade. So next October. And you'll just be able to call. Like, you won't be able to get on internet and all that stuff. And I'm sure I'll get brashed for not letting her do whatever.
Yep.
But how do you control that realm? And then how do you put a good head on their shoulders and make sure they're leaders instead of followers and all that? It's just more conversation. Like, don't fall into the kids. I mean, they fall into peer pressure. And, like, Brady, how's the first day of school? Did you get in trouble? Well, we were kicking some balls after they blew the whistle. I'm like, well, and there's some boys in that class, like, they're boys, they're 9-year-old boys are rambunctious. I'm like, just be careful. Like, I'm not telling you who you can or can't hang out with, but like, you know right from wrong, right? Having that conversation, right? I mean, they're old enough to know that. So how do you raise them and continue to evolve? I don't know, Sawyer, but I think control what we can control and have those couple hours at a time that we discussed to kind of put things in perspective for them, because money's a huge, weird thing that I think some parents do it right. And some parents, these kids have no idea. Solon that we grew up in is getting pretty affluent. Like, there's some money in that town. And, some of my kids' friends, do well, but our kids kind of grow up in a different world sometimes. Like,
you might have to break out that small square baler again.
It's there. We just did it.
You might have to say, kids.
Here we go.
I think this is hard, Dad.
It's a very good point. Like, I don't want to go. I'm like, no, you're going to carry sweet corn bags out for these customers, and you're going to carry it to their car.
Yeah. You're going to talk to them.
Yeah. And you're going to engage, and you're going to look them in the eye and shake their hand, and don't look down at the ground, and have a firm handshake. And just those little
stuff. I'll tell you what, things like that for that generation is going to be a game changer, because so many kids can't.
It's just this, hey, text message, how you doing? It's not an open conversation of, hello, my name is blah, 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 confidence.
If you can communicate, it's
still a business, I think, and I don't do a good enough job sometimes. I get caught up and I don't slow down and say thanks or, things like that too for some of our customers. But I think just teaching those little things add up to a lot. And, treat people how you want to be treated. That's the golden rule, but it's sometimes tough to do, especially in the keyboard world that we live in, and some of the stuff you see of utopia on social media.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not the case.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm starting to get those questions like, do we have money? Or I'm like, I don't know. Do I? I don't know some days. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
so
the Family Guy meme. Are we white trash?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, I was born in a mobile home trailer. I just thought I was born in a trailer, but it wasn't. It was, but wasn't. And we've been fortunate to have a couple new houses, and this most recent one 5 years ago, older, built in the 80s. What little did I know, in the 80s, they just built houses with your drywall, a little bit insulation, this 1-inch core board, and then the siding. There's no like wrap or like OSB or anything.
Yeah.
So like the front of my, I don't know how I got on this, but the front of my house is just like a wind tunnel just blowing through. And I'm like, just first world problems, and that's what I try and explain to those kids. Like, we're fine. I go, and be thankful. Like you're talking about, be thankful. We got a roof over our head, and I can have a cold tub in my basement to sit in for 16 minutes a week. It's like, what are we doing some days?
Yeah.
But,
I heard a really good thing from Kylie Kelsey, actually. She put a clip out that was like, she's going old school with her kids where they're going to have a phone, but it's going to be like a house phone. And it's going to be a cell phone, but they can only use it in the kitchen. And their friends have to...
So you can hear the conversation.
They can't take it to their bedroom, but it's like a house phone where if their friends want to hang out with them or whatever, they got to call that phone.
And whoever answers, they have to say, yeah, this is so-and-so.
That's what she's doing. She said she's going old school with it, and that's how she's going to do it. And I thought,
it's interesting to watch, watch people like that, especially in professional sports or even in social media age where these influencers are making, millions of dollars at age 16 through 24, and they start raising families. Yeah. It'll be interesting to look at their like Kylie and Jason, like, he's making more money now than he did when he played. He made a lot of money when he played. How are they going to raise kids, or how do they control the situation that these kids don't feel entitled? Is interesting time.
Yeah. I kind of like that though.
No, I think that's awesome, because I think it's just like, I think adults struggle with it and kids struggle with it. It's that dopamine, man. Yeah. I mean, how are you supposed to enjoy the little things of life when you sat on your phone for 4 hours and you doom scrolled and you looked at a sad video, a funny video, a happy video?
I'm guilty.
I mean, it's like
those kids get to bed now at 8:45, and I turn on the shower and I stare at my phone for a second. All of a sudden, the water's been on for 5 minutes because I'm like, what am I? Yeah. Recheck yourself. What am I doing?
Yeah. It's these phones, man. I think there's a lot of people that they walk around, they say, well, I feel numb. I feel numb. Well, why do you feel numb? Well, probably because your dopamine receptors are maxed out every single day.
Yeah, we're stimulated.
You're looking at your phone 20 minutes before you even get out of bed.
I think Rogan showed something. This artist or this digital artist would take pictures on the street or in a common area or like an elevator, and they would remove the phone from the person's hand. And Rogan was like, if you would have told us 15, 20 years ago there was a drug that made you stare at your hand for 5 hours a day, you would think we're all crazy. Yep. But we're all doing it. Like when you look at your screen time, you're at 3 or 4 hours, and I'm sure some of these people are a lot more. And it's just interesting to see in their pictures on the subway or pictures on the elevator, or, you get that feeling when you're standing there, like, oh, I need to check my phone. Like, what time is it? Or I just had an email come through. But that was interesting to look at some of those photos and hear
that is kind of a cool concept.
Well, if someone created a drug that you said you would stare at your hand for 5 hours a day, you think everyone's crazy, but we're all
doing it,
halfway doing it.
You can't have a moment of no stimulation. No, like nobody sits in silence anymore for 20 minutes.
I would like to with 4 kids.
Yeah, it's like it's got to be.
Well, you're gonna get here because your kids are gonna get to that point before you know it. But I'll never forget the first time that Sawyer's older brother had a boy-girl party at our house. And I remember boy-girl parties when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And so we're upstairs and they're in the basement. And it's like dead silent. And dead silence is bad. That's real bad. And so I'm like, I go out the house and go around, and we have a walkout basement. I go to the patio door I stare in there, and I fully expect that I'm going to have to open the door and be like, hand check or whatever.
Break it up.
No, there's like 8 kids there or 10 kids there.
I know.
There's a movie on. They're dead silent. They're all looking at their phones, not watching the movie. And then once every so many minutes, because they're all texting each other and sending memes to each other, all of them go, And they all look up and then they look back down. And I go upstairs and Trish is like, is everything all right? And I remember I said, I don't really know.
Not sure what I want to think. They're not
right.
playing spin the bottle or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Man.
But it was just so weird that's how,
communication
that's
happens.
how it changed. So
I know I'm not ready for that boyfriend stage in my life. I don't know how I'm
you'll be all right. Just get yourself, just pick your favorite shotgun and always have it ready to be cleaning. when somebody comes over to pick up one of your daughters, just sit down here, son.
Have this talk, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there once.
What are your intentions?
I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he's got to go
Scary,
he's
man.
got to go pick a few pumpkins before he can take her out.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
Hey,
We'll see what his work ethic is
hey,
like.
let's go out here and
see if we can
let's
get some
have a chat.
calluses going on the hands.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet.
There you go.
Well, shit. I think that's all I got. You got all your words out? You got all your words out?
I don't
don't
think I
usually
ever
talk that
even
much.
looked at the outline.
I know. It flowed so well.
I never picked it up.
Those are the
You guys
best
are that
kind of.
prepared? You guys have an outline? That's nice.
We do. We do.
It's kind of our guardrails to
Yes.
keep us on track. But that's the beautiful part about podcasts. Talking about playing card games and fatherhood. Hey, that's what we
You
love.
guys need to come up to Sutloff. You ever heard of Sutloff Tavern on the Cedar River?
Where is it from your place?
Us, it's just a mile and a half away.
Is it
we'll say
west?
it's east.
East.
Right? Am I geographically impaired? Southeast from us?
Okay.
Lisbon area. Sutloff is a small little town.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's they play Swick, I think, every Saturday at 4:00 in the winter. So you guys come down and play Swick, and
Okay.
my dad will probably be there. I probably won't be, but if you guys are there, I'll stop in.
All
It's a
right.
cool
Okay.
little place. Yeah. Fried food. I grew up on it, man. It's fried food, chicken strips and cheese balls, and
Yep.
cash only and beer only. And
Yep.
yeah, it's a good Saturday night, I think. So,
Nice.
Well,
Get you
hell
up
yeah.
there. No, but I appreciate you guys having me. And
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. It was an awesome conversation. I'd love to come up to the farm sometime.
yeah,
Just
no,
check
if you
out
guys
everything
are
you're going.
if you guys are available, come here late September, October, just kind of see the place in its glory, I guess, when we set up all the little cutouts and corn mazes going. And
Oh, we can get a picture in the cutouts.
there
you
we
get
go.
a picture.
You got to be in the little Bo Peep outfit though.
Okay.
I'll be the guy in the bibs.
All right.
You'll be the scarecrow skeleton.
There we
Ribs.
go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to meet you guys, and hopefully give you guys something to take away. But
For sure, man. I think people got value
people are
for
gonna
sure.
enjoy
If you got value, guys, go check out what Matt and his family are up to. We'll have that video in the description. Go check out their website, all the stuff that they got going on. Share the show. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. We appreciate the hell out of you guys. We love you. We'll see you back here next week for another episode.